So in this video, I want to talk to you about your protector parts. And I said earlier on that your protector parts develop and they're modeled on your most critical parent. And it's important to recognize that because there's often parts of that, the way you react and the way that you do things that you really hate and you really don't like the fact that it is modeled on that parent. But when we start to understand that the reason that we've got that internal sort of voice inside is because that's the part of you trying to stop you from getting into trouble from the real critical parent, then we can kind of recognize it's an intermediary kind of part of us that's trying to kind of, keep you in line or keep you in check before you actually get into trouble from somebody else external. So we need to develop a recognition and actually a love for that part, because the protector part is the ultimate one who is designed to protect you from harm. But the way they've learned to behave is often something that they've modeled. And so if you had a parent who, used to yell and scream, then your protector part likely is a yelling and screaming one. If you had a really significant withdrawal response to that yelling and screaming, then maybe your protector part looks a bit more passive aggressive. You don't say things out loud, but maybe you stomp around the house and slam the pans and shut the cupboard doors or whatever you do, right? So, but we have to recognize that it's an emotional reaction. It's an emotional reaction because what we're feeling underneath it is actually shame. But because of the shame and we don't like the way that feels, we have this big external reaction to try and make the source of the shame go away. Right? So that's the whole point of this, when we react, we get triggered. What are we reacting to? We're reacting to somebody else doing something that set something within us that makes us feel shame or fear or something. And we need to attack it to make it go away so that we don't actually have that ongoing feeling within us. So how do we kind of get more comfortable with it? And if you feel that you have anger issues, and this is something that kind of shows up a lot, I want you to start kind of recognizing that it's just because you've got lots of these triggers and it feels like you're not managing things and you're trying to work out a way to move it forward, but you're probably caught in a bit of a loop. So you can change it, but you've got to sort of put some conscious effort into making it different. One, you have to get more aware internally of where that feeling starts to come up and catch it before you react to it. Notice the feeling that you are really angry, but maybe before you explode, start to kind of recognize, oh, there's that feeling again. Okay, this is my protector part. So before I rip this person's head off, maybe just stop and think about, okay, what did they just say or what did they do? And what is it that I'm actually feeling? Because we often just react, and we react without considering what it is that, this person's actually triggered within us, right? When we can start to stop and look at ourselves with curiosity. So I always say you've got an ultimate kind of controlling part. I like to think about my, wise old grandmother that's actually like the owl looking down on the system, that at any given point in time, it's kind of like you can pull up into that wise part of yourself and kind of go, hang on, why am I doing this? I've just been triggered. I'm just having this reaction. I always talk about my protector part of self, my ultimate, most severe one, as the Xena warrior princess, right? And, I'm ready to pull out my broadsword and cut somebody's head off. I know I've been triggered. So over the years, I've got much better at being able to recognize, oh, Xena's here, right? And I call her that. It helps me to recognize that I've reacted to something and I really want to get angry about something, but I can usually hold her back now. She's there with her hand on her sword, ready to kind of, come to my defense, because that is her job, right? Her job is to protect me and to defend me from harm. So I can't hate her. She's my ultimate protector. But when we don't understand ourselves and we don't have any way of kind of helping to keep her in check, then we can often have this internal self-loathing going on about this reaction that we have constantly. We need to get comfortable with our protector parts, understand where they come from, and learn to recognize when they're triggered, then how it is that we can change that around using language to bring that part back into line and approach things in a more rational way. All right, so we're going to talk about rational parts next.